Yes. So the recording started, and I will be sharing my screen and just letting you, giving you some information about the course and what we're going to do. So in general, what we're going to do, we will have a small project. Today, we will start with usually what testers do when they start their job. So for example, you join the company, and then you have something that you start with, right? Usually you come to the company and they tell you, hey, here's the something that you need to do first, and then you start doing and slowly learning whatever you need to do and do the job on your new work, right? So this is something we will start today with. So that will be working with requirements, with software requirements and test planning. After that, next week, we will try to do bug reporting and bug fix verification. So you know what actually software testers do in general, and we'll be able to understand that this is something that you would like to do, because some people find this job boring. Some people would actually loves this job because they think, oh, I love to actually find some small bugs, some things, right, that the people missed and make it better and the application better, and then to see the result, right? For example, people testing Facebook, right? They see the result of their job. So before you use Facebook, there are some people that test it before you. So they have specific version that will be published later, and they test it. They implement something new, and then it released to you. And then you come to Facebook one day and see, hey, there is something new. There is new menu, there is new functionality, new view of your feed or whatever, right? And you were able to use that application, but they are the people who test that, and they would like to see the result of their job. So it depends, and this course designed for you just to learn the profession, try coding, and also to understand that test automation is very simple. If you learn the coding a little bit, the test automation is very simple because the tools that we use currently, they are very simple. So maybe like many years ago, you had to actually know the coding pretty well to actually build everything from scratch, every function, everything. But right now, you don't have to do that. Right now, all the development tools that we have, they are reused, right? So you never create something from scratch. You don't have to create a complex code to, for example, display Google Map in your application. Right now, you just download the piece of code that it's ready for you, created by somebody else, and just use it. So the automation, the coding is very simple right now. So you will be able to understand that as well. Okay, so I will start sharing my screen and showing my presentation. We will start from that, just to explain you QA in general. But before we do that, does anybody have any questions? Okay, sounds great. Yes, and at the bottom of your screen, you see the icon says like raise your hand. So whenever you have a question, just raise your hand. Yeah, Natalia, do you have a question? Yeah, you can unmute yourself.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I already asked you, but just to make sure, I don't need to take a manual test if I can start from automation?
Yes, you need to take manual as well, because automation needs manual. That's what are you asking about, right?
I was asking because I am working as a manual QA for years, so I don't
I
really
got it.
need this.
Yeah.
So what do I
So
have to do?
yeah, anyways, so how it looks like. So I will actually show you. Let me quickly open our website and show you how it works. So courses, and let me share the screen quickly. Your entire screen number 2. And let me know whenever you're able to see my screen. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, got it. So this is how it works. So in order to take automation, you need to know manual QA and coding basics, because how it works, usually what we solved with this approach. So we have several levels. Before, people used to learn manual QA, then they worked as manual QAs, and then they had to go and find automation course. But in order to learn automation, you need to learn coding first, like functions, variables, right? Arrays, how it works, right? How the coding works. And then you'll learn the tool itself. So you learn coding first and then tools to do the test automation. So actually you spend 3 months for learning QA, then you work, for example, for a year, right? And then you learn automation, you start from scratch. You have to learn the coding from scratch and then the tools. So it takes additional 6 months. So in general, you learned, let's say, manual for 3 months and plus 6 months of automation. So 9 months in general. What we do actually, for people, let's say for people who starts from zero, from scratch, so they learn manual QA for 3 months and coding basics in parallel, and this is free. So if you take manual QA, coding basics for free for you, right? So this is just parallel course that you take, and usually we do manual on Mondays and Wednesdays. Yes, as you can see, and over here, manual. No, coding basics Mondays and Wednesdays, and manual QA on Tuesdays and Thursdays. This is what we do, right? So they are different days. So usually you learn, if you take the first level, you have the courses from Monday to Thursday, 4 days a week, and you learn this for 3 months. So by the end of the 3 months, then you go to test automation, but you need to have 2 prerequisites. So in your case, of course, you have manual QA, you just need to learn coding basics, right? So this is the only thing that you need to learn. And then you learn test automation. So it takes 6 months for you, and it takes for 6 months for everybody who learn manual QA as well from scratch. So this is what we do. We actually saved for people who learn from scratch 3 months. So now you learn coding basics and manual QA in parallel, and then just 3 more months, you learn the tools itself. You don't learn coding over here. You learn tools, because coding basics, how functions work, how arrays work, and etc. How actually coding works in general, you learn at the first level. So this is how it works. So we save 3 months, and this is our approach. So we do levels. Some people learn manual QA and take coding basics just to see, hey, maybe this is something I can do, but the initial goal is to learn manual QA, right? They come to learn manual QA. They learn it, and taking coding basics in parallel, they realize that, hey, this is something that I can do. So our measurement, our KPI that we use to say that people are ready for test automation, there are some points. We give people tasks, they complete tasks for coding, and they get points. If they get 300 points, that means they are able to take the automation course, and they say, oh, then I'm ready, and they go and learn automation. And after 6 months, they are able to find the automation job, which is higher salary, which is less competition because there are less automation engineers in the market, and more demand, right? There are a lot of demand on the market right now for automation. Some companies even, they don't do automation, but they put that into job description because they want people to know automation, even if they hire manual testers. So yeah, this is how it works. So in your case, you can just take the coding basics. It will be less work for you because other people will learn manual QA. They will have homework assignments there as well. For you, just coding basics. Anyways, we had many cases like you when people knew manual QA already, but I'm suggesting them to join the manual QA course as well. They can share their knowledge, right? And also join our project, because we are testing so the project we do here is getting tested by automation later. So you actually, on this course, you will learn the project itself, the product that we test, right? And participate in our project, in our Scrum processes, and etc. So I'm suggesting you to do that as well. But anyways, if you don't want to do that, it's okay if you know manual, because for you, this is the main course if you're already working as QA. Is that clear?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, so it generally takes 6 months for anybody who starts from scratch, 6 months, who starts just from being manual QA, just taking coding basics. You still have to take this and then go here. Okay, so let me then share this presentation. I already answered this question. This is the goals of our free course. Just to know, oh, this is actually what we will be doing on the course, on the manual course. This is the manual course part, the manual QA course part. So you will be trying yourself in a role of software tester. We will have a small project, and this is what you will be doing. we will just give you some assignments, so you just to understand how it works, what you will be doing once you join the project, right? Once you get a job. And then you will work with software requirements. Then you will be doing test planning and creating test cases. Then you will be testing the web application once you have a test cases. Then you will find bugs, software bugs, and you will report them. Also, you will be learning coding basics. You will build your first test automation framework, and you will see that it's pretty much easy to do. And of course, we will give you some resume creation tips and interview tips and job market overview as well at the end of this course. You will be able to meet our team. So I will be manual QA teacher. Stan will be coding basics teacher, and Sergey will also introduce test automation for you. And yeah, feel free to feel like home. We have like approach of being a team. We communicate a lot with our students, so they can reach out to us any part of the day. So usually feel like home. This is how we do our job. So you can relax. And what I'm expecting from you during this course, just to get a feedback. So if you don't understand something, please feel free to ask a question, because this is actually the requirements. Requirement number 1, you participate with lessons. This is one of the requirements. Requirement number 2, you ask questions if something isn't clear. Always. Because most of people, they think, oh, this is a stupid question, I'm not going to ask it. No matter what you think, this is a course. This is not a real job, right? So our goal for you to ask questions right now, so you don't ask them your manager in the future, right? So you ask all the stupid questions during the course. This is what we do here. We just listen to stupid questions and answer them. So no matter what you think, ask a question if you don't understand, because we would like you to learn that and make sure that you understand it. If you don't understand, please ask a question. And the third thing, complete homework assignments. So if you do those 3 things, you find job in 100% of the cases. This is what we do. So all the people who come to all lessons, ask questions and complete homework, so they always, in 100%, not 99% of cases, not 98, 99.99, in 100% of the cases, you get a job. Because the part of the homework that we have during the course, we say, hey, today your homework is to apply for 20 jobs, and people do that. Tomorrow, your homework is to answer a few calls from recruiters, and etc. So we actually lead people to that, to the offer. So if you do those 3 things, you get a job. So I'm expecting same from you during the free course. So you attend lessons, you ask questions if something isn't clear, just raise a hand. I will stop, and you will ask a question, I will answer it until you get full understanding. And then complete homeworks. If you complete all homeworks during the free course, I will give you a discount, 50% for the first month, if somebody considers our main course. So this is what we're going to do. Just learn QA and get discounts and get a new job pretty soon. Okay. I already explained this, so this is what we're going to do. Week 1 and 2, you're going to have manual QA and coding basics. Week number 3, you will get test automation. Probably it will be the first, and this is the last lesson, will be resume and interview and job market overview. So this is the plan for our free lesson. I already explained you the QA path. I showed the website. You take manual QA. Oh, actually 3 months, 2 months, and test automation. So we found the first bug. It's not 3 months and not 2 months, but 3 months. And this is the 3 months as well. Okay. So whoever learns development, people who learn development, they just do coding basics, and then they learn front end, and then they can at the 3rd level they can choose actually either backend or mobile development. So this is the development path. But we invite everybody, especially who starts from scratch. Everybody who starts from scratch, take manual course plus coding basics. So actually you can compare which skills are well developed, right? And then you decide which path to take. Either you take development path or testing path, which is manual and then automation. And actually, many of our students, they actually usually take automation course, and then just in 6 months, they take front-end development course and then just find a job as a front-end developers. Many of the students find front-end development job after QA automation job. So just consider that path as well. So this is what usually testers do, right? So imagine it's not something difficult in general. So in order to be a good tester, of course, you have to actually know a lot and learn a lot. Different test design techniques, different rules, how to actually create bugs, and why you do that, especially not just learn them blindly, but why you do that, why you actually work on the requirements, why you plan the test cases using test design techniques, why you create bug reports using specific rules, like rule for the bug title, and the rules of defining the steps to reproduce actual and expected results, and all of that, and why we do that, and why is that important. So all of that is, of course, needs some learning process, and that's why our main course takes 3 months. But in general, QA is not something difficult. It's not something that you need to take college for. It's something that you can learn in few months. And this is why. Let's imagine the case. You purchased a new, I don't know, maybe robot vacuum, like, those kind of like round robots that you can just install in your kitchen, and you will turn them on and they will start vacuuming your kitchen, right? Something like that. And you don't know how to use it, right? You just purchased it, you just unpacked it, and what you do, how you learn how to actually use that robot? Yeah, this is the question for you. Anybody can answer.
Read the manual.
Yes, read the manual. Okay, this is one of the answers.
YouTube video instructions.
No, also not bad. Yeah.
Just press the button.
Yeah, so the correct answer is read the manual. Correct. So the manual is the documentation you read. In order to understand how it will work or how it should work, there is a document, right? The manual for this vacuum, right? And this is how you actually read it and understand how it works. Same here. So the first thing that you start with, you're reading the requirements. So most of the applications, not all of them, there are some small companies, some small startups, but most companies, they have requirements for their products. So if there's, for example, the same robo vacuum, it's getting developed by somebody. So before that, in order to understand what to build, because there will be people who will be building this, and they need to understand what to build. So before we do that, before they do that, they actually create some requirements, how it should look like, how it should work, what it should do if press that button or do that action, and etc. So same here, any application on your phone, your banking application, Facebook, video game, anything, it has requirements, and there are people who define them first. First of all, any product that is getting developed out there on your in your web browser, on your mobile phone, everything, it's getting requirements first. Just people describe it how it should work, so developers know what to create and how to create it. So you start with the requirements. So your goal here is just to make sure they are clear for you. So this is the first goal. So you read the requirements. It's just like a manual that describes how something works. And your goal here is to make sure it's clear and fully understandable. And the reason is very simple. Not everybody understands this, because some people just work on them because we should work on that. But the reason why we do that is very simple. Imagine that you don't do that and the requirements are not clear. And one part says something, another part contradicts the previous part, and etc. So one developer who will be working on the first part of the requirements just will take the first part of the requirements and will start creating the application. Another developer will take the second part of the requirements and will also start working parallelly with that first developer. And what will happen, the second developer will override work of the first developer, and you will have the problem. Your application will not behave as expected. And it will end up with you looking for this problem. Then developers have to figure out what happened, then fix it, and then you will have to verify that it was fixed. So imagine all the people spend so much time just on one single problem, and you burned money for the company, you wasted your time, and etc. So why you work on the requirements is just you try to make them super clear. So developers take them, and nobody creates a bug, nobody overrides each other's work, and etc. So you make them clear, and it's clear both for you because you will be basing your test cases on the requirements, and plus they are clear for developers who will be creating the application. If they are more clear, that means that there will be less bugs found in the application, and that means less time spent for bug fixing, bug verification, which means you will save money for the company, and the quality of the application that you developed will be higher. And that's the main goal, right? And you need to explain this during the interview, because if you explain this understanding during the interview, you will be hired, because not everybody understands why we are working on the requirements, why we create detailed test plan, why we create bug reports in some specific way to make them also super clear for developers to quickly fix the problem, right? So we do all of that. Everything we will be describing today, all the rules, and next day, next Monday, and during the course, all those rules, all those design techniques, everything we do just to make the application that we test better, and also save money and time for the company. Because less time developer spends on the code and you spend on testing it, more money spent by the company on developing something new, but not testing or fixing something old. And that's what is important to understand. And that's why the first step that you do, working on the requirements in order to analyze them and just make them better and clearer to understand. And we actually will start doing that today. So I will give you an example and you will start doing that, so you will be able to understand that pretty well. Okay. Next step that you do. So once you're done with the requirements, you do the test planning. So you start testing planning your testing. In the United States, this is actually called test planning, but just if you read this in the book, it's usually test cases creation phase. So you create test cases, because usually test plan is a document that created either by manager, QA manager, or a QA lead at least, to plan the testing and just define the devices, the scope of testing, the size of the team, and etc. Some like general information about the approach that you're going to take to test this application in general. But in most of the cases, you will hear from recruiters, from other people, from HR, even from some QA people, you will hear that, hey, what do you do for the test planning? And this is what you need to understand. You create test cases. Creating test cases is very simple as well. You just based on the requirements. For example, requirement says, when you click this button on that robo vacuum, it should turn on. And there is a green light that should light up, right? So you do that, actually. You create a test case saying that if you press this button, it should turn on, right? And then if you press this button, the second test case, the green light should light up, right? So you have actually two test cases here, because you test separately that the vacuum turns on and the lights up as well, right? So you create those test cases based on the requirements. So you just read them and just create a document on another side of your monitor. Usually I split my monitor into pieces. I have requirements on my left, I have test case document on my right, and I just, like see what I see here, and then just create test cases over here on the right-hand side. And then you create a list of cases that you're going to test. And once you have an application, what you're going to do is just check them, pass or fail. Then you imagine this happens before you get the real application. You don't have the application at this point. You just have requirements that tell developers how it should work and look in the future. And based of that, they're going to start creating the application or the device. And you plan your testing just without having the application on a real device. At some point, based on the requirements, developers will create first version of the application, and you will have your test cases done. Then you take the application and start testing, and which is simple. You actually, again, put your test cases on the left, application on the right, and see, okay, if I turn this on or click this button, for example, I should go to that page, right? And you do that. If you go to that page, you mark it as pass, check mark. Then you go to the next one. If this button should be green and you check this button is green, yes, okay, you mark it as pass, and so on. So actually very simple, right? Not something that you cannot do. And then once you find this discrepancy in what you expect and what you actually see in the application, then you report a bug, software bug. So for example, you expect that the default page that you open in the application should be a home page. But once you open the application, it opens the registration page. This is not expected. This is a software bug because your requirements say the base page that should be open should be home page. And then you create, based on that, you create a test case saying that if I open the application, the default page is home page. Then you open the application once it's ready. You open the application, it opens registration page, which is not expected, and you report a software bug. That's pretty much it. In general, this is what we actually do. And then once we reported all the bugs, they were fixed. We check that they are actually fixed, and we go to the next cycle. We check the requirements for the next release, new version of the application. We plan our testing. We test the new version of the application once it's ready, and we report found bugs, and etc., etc. So you do those cycles. Usually, companies right now use Agile and Scrum in particular. It's like 2 weeks cycles. And in 2 weeks, you try to do all of that. You take the small piece of the application, cover that by requirements, then you plan, developers develop it, you test it, you report bugs if you found, and you do that during the 2 weeks, and just make those endless cycles while you work at the company. So you may work for the company for 3 years, for 5 years, and you will be doing those 2 weeks cycles like all the times, right? So you start from requirements, do all of that, and report bugs, make sure they're fixed, and go again in the next cycle. Of course, there are more detailed things like many meetings you participate in, regression testing, smoke testing, but all of that is not part of the free course. This is just a general overview, what we do in general. And this is not something difficult because all of that will be based on the document that looks like a manual that describes everything, how it should work. Based on that, you create a list of your test cases, which is also very simple because you base on the requirements. Then you start testing, which is actually comparing what you expect and what you actually have. And then once there is a difference between which is actually happening and what you expect, you report a software bug, which we also will learn how to do. So pretty much very simple job to do. Okay, and let's take an example. For example, we have this login form, and these are the requirements. So just an example of the requirements. So and right now we don't test the form because there will be more requirements saying that, okay, the requirements for this field, that the size of the field, the placeholder that it displays, and etc. Right? So right now we just take this part, login button. So these are the just 2 requirements, just for example, for the login button. One requirement says login button should be displayed below the login form. So this is the login form. And you see usually a lot of those screenshots or design examples in requirements, right? So you understand what you're going to test. And you see, okay, login button is displayed below the login form. Clear, nice, clear. Okay, and button is blue. Okay, blue. Sometimes business analyst or the person who creates the requirements can even provide specific code of the color that you should be able to test. And this is what you will see in our requirements. But in this case, it's just blue. Okay, so we see that login button should be displayed below the login form. I see this. And the button is blue. Okay, so this is clear, right? And there will be more requirements that you will be reading. Okay, remind password button requirements and the font size, font color requirements. There will be more requirements. This is just an example of just requirements for 2 requirements for login button. Just login button displayed and the color of the button. Okay, so what you do with this, how it works. Then you, based on this, create like your test cases. You say, okay, login button displayed below the login form. Simple, right? You just need, you will need to check this. So you create like a checklist for yourself. Long time ago, we used to do like, detailed test cases with it. Title, with steps to reproduce, and etc. But at this time, nobody does that because of simple reason, because it takes time. It takes a lot of time to maintain, to create. Like right now, we just mostly created checklists, right? Based on the requirements, you say, hey, login button below displayed below the login form, and then login button is blue. So those are the checks that you're going to do in the future. Because developers at this point, when you create test cases, they just develop the application. You don't have it. You just based your test cases based on the requirements. And just you imagine it look like based on the design, right? So you create and more other test cases based on what you have in the requirements. Then once it's developed, you get the form developed, right? You start testing. The first test case, login button displayed below the login form. Is it displayed below the login form? Yes or no? Yes, right? So you mark it as passed. If you mark it as passed, that means it works fine and you move forward, right? And then you see login button is blue. Is it blue? No, it's not blue. So then you mark it as fail. And that means that you have to report a software bug because it's not expected. Expectedly, we expect it to be blue, but it's not blue, it's red actually eventually, right? So then in this case, you report a bug. And this happens because of many cases, because of problems in the requirements, because developer didn't pay attention to something, because of process gaps, maybe the specs were delivered later, and etc. It may many problems that you will see caused by something, but by not clear understanding of the requirement and etc. In this case, let's say developer, I don't know, missed that requirement and created red button, right? And then you create a bug report when actual result will be login button is red because this is actually what you see, and expected login button is blue. And then developer will get it, will get this bug report, will fix it, and then you will check that it's fixed. So developer will send you a new version of the application. You will actually open the new version of the application. If button will be blue, you will close this bug report, and that's it. That means it's fixed. And then once you fixed majority of the bugs or all the bugs, ideally, you go to the next cycle. You go to the next sprint, new requirements, new test cases, test them, and report new bugs. So this is pretty much what we do. Very simple. And that's pretty much it for the presentation. So the next step that we're going to do, I'm going to present you the application that we're going to test, the requirements for it, and then we will go from there. But before we do that, any questions? I see some questions in the chat and I will answer them soon. But before we do that, any questions about the presentation, about what we do as a testers and etc.? Is everything clear?
Yes.
Got it. Nice. Awesome. Okay, so some people asking, so Jamie, asking, what if you're already done a coding bootcamp and have certificate in HTML, CSS, and Java? Yes, so what we do actually, so Java or JavaScript, because HTML and CSS usually comes with JavaScript, because those are the web technologies. And usually the most popular language for web development is JavaScript, because this is what JavaScript. Yeah, so if you do that, that's okay for you. What we can do for you, for example, if you are interested in automation course, anyways, you have to have manual QA, right? This is one thing. You need to have manual QA, because just in order to understand how to do this, how to do test case planning, understanding the processes, right, and etc. But I have zero QA training. Yes, that's why. So for you, you take QA, manual QA, and then you will be able to go to test automation. But take JavaScript in parallel. Maybe there will be something that you don't know, or you know that, and you will just quickly do everything, just refresh your memory. It's free anyways, right? Anyways, it's free. So you will just take that course for free in parallel, and then in 3 months you will, because it takes 6 months to learn automation anyways. If you have JavaScript, you have to take manual anyways in order to understand the process, right? Because you cannot be just a test automation engineer without knowing how to actually test and what to test. I used to have many developers, and the company actually pressured them to do test automation because they know the language, right? But they didn't know what to do. Okay, they knew how to write the language, how to write the code, but how to do and what to test, they didn't know to do that, how to do that. And they were coming to manual testers and asking, hey, what should I do here? So you have to have the QA knowledge to be test automation engineer. That's why take manual, JavaScript in parallel. If it will be easy for you, great. Because what we need to do in order to measure if you're really able to take the automation course, we give you tasks on the code wars, or you have the code wars profile already and some katas solved there, and you should have 300 points over there. If you have that, you're able to join test automation already. But if you don't have manual key knowledge, you have to do that anyways. So my suggestion, take manual plus JavaScript, and you will be able to figure out if it's something easy for you or not. And maybe you don't have to take the JavaScript. You will just focus on solving tasks on code wars to get 300 points, and that's it. You will just focus on manual QA. To get the knowledge for test automation, then you just join test automation, because we will require 300 points anyways. If you feel that you're able to do that, because JavaScript for you is like easy, then you will do that on your own. But we have that opportunity for you to take JavaScript course for free. And since you know that already, yeah, go ahead and do that, right? So this is the suggestion for you. Then Natalia, why do you think JavaScript is better than Java? Because JavaScript is easier, especially for newbies, right? And for people who are learning JavaScript, who are learning the first language, first of all, it's easy. Second, it's dynamic typing language, so you don't have to care about, defining the type of the data you're putting into the variable. It will be dynamic in JavaScript. That's why one of the reasons it's easy. It's very popular anyways. Right now, everybody knows JavaScript, even if you do the coding in other languages. But if you are a professional developer, you know JavaScript, because JavaScript is used everywhere right now, right? Especially with the TypeScript. So take, for example, the most popular front-end development. All the websites that you see, most of them developed using React.js, and it's JavaScript. If you take the most popular test automation framework, it's Cypress. It's like 4 million downloads per week, not month, per week. I can actually show you that while I'm sharing npm.js. So this is the most popular Cypress. Oh, this is one. Yeah. Oh, actually, it's 3 million this week. Oh, maybe it will be till the end of the week, but usually it's up to 4 million. So this is how popular it is, and this is what we actually learn people as well. And the second popular is WebDriver.io, and we learn it. We teach you this as well, right? So this is why, right? And before that, before 2009, I believe, JavaScript was the only browser language. So it was used only inside the browser. And that's why it was not so popular, because you cannot do anything. But somebody developed Node.js, so JavaScript became a regular language, coding language. And since that, it has become very popular. So what you can actually do, you can learn, you can just Google the most popular language 2022, coding language 2022, and open the first 10 links, because you may open first one and it will say Python, for example, right? But you open and you will see that the most of them will say that JavaScript is not popular because just of the popularity of the web applications. Because what you see right now, this is the web application. All of this, the presentations, remember, they used to be just on your computer, like Microsoft PowerPoint, right? Or Microsoft Word or Microsoft Excel. Right now, all of this in the browser. And all of this is JavaScript. All you use on Facebook, here, Google Docs, everything, all of that is JavaScript. All those programs work on your computer inside browsers. And that's why it's popular, because, and if you learn test automation, you learn then web development, you learn React, oh man, there is so much demand. That's why. And probably the first reason why we did this, because this is the only language that allows us to do this, to do actually both test automation, front-end development, full stack development, and mobile development. Because you may say, I will learn Java for mobile development. Yeah, learned it. But there is no popular front-end framework in Java, right? That's why you will be able to do mobile development on Java. You will be able to do test automation. You will be able to do. There are some frameworks. They're not as popular as Cypress, but they are some. And you will be able to do backend development in Java. Yes, but not front end, for example, right? You can take Python. You will be able to do some test automation there. You will be able to do, I believe, mobile development as well, maybe backend development as well, but not front end development again, right? You can learn some Objective-C to do some iOS mobile development, and you will be able to do that. But how about front end test automation? There is no such thing on Objective-C, and there is no backend on Objective-C, and etc. So JavaScript is the only language that allows us to learn all of this using one single language. Because imagine you would like to be a mobile developer. You take mobile development course and all of that in JavaScript. And big advantage over there is that React native, so React.js is for front-end development, but then somebody developed like few years ago React native. So do you use Facebook Messenger? So Facebook Messenger as an example of the application built on React native. That's JavaScript framework that you create the application, and it creates dynamically application both for iOS and Android. Because the problems that companies used to have and still have. So you start some application. Remember the application, it was Clubhouse that became popular when the COVID started, right? It became popular and then less popular. Why? The reason was very simple. They had initially only iOS application because they started doing that on, let's say, Objective-C. I don't know the language, but let's say Objective-C. So they created iOS application, and then application just boomed, right? And then they have to create Android application. What happens? They have to hire a new team that will start just building a copy of their application and a separate language. So you end up with two teams instead of one. And it used to be like that in every company that were building the iOS and Android application. But right now, you take one framework, let's say React Native, you create your in JavaScript, and it will build you two applications, both in iOS and Android parallelly. And you didn't have to take care of two teams. You have one single team, one source of truth, one code that creates application automatically. So cool. That's why we do this, because we teach this language. And what usually most of our students do, they learn test automation. Since they have coding basics, right? They have coding basics. In test automation, they get experience Usually they work for 6 months as test automation engineers or 12 months, and they take front-end development course. Since they have coding basics, they are able to do that, but also they have experience doing test automation. So they have more experience solving problems in the code, and then they take front-end development course. And they started working as front-end developers. So once you do that, then you can say, hey, I would like to do mobile development. And if you would like to learn Objective-C, you have to start from scratch, like 9 months, let's say, right? In our case, mobile development is easy because it's the same library as React Native. The syntax is a little bit different, but you already know all of that. So it takes additional 3 months for you, and you already mobile developer. That's the only reason we take this, because this is the only language that allows us to do that. This complex path from learning something from zero to mobile development, right? That's the only reason. So this is about JavaScript. So let's see. Do we need to know C++? No, you don't need to know C++. You will be able to do test automation on the most popular framework in the world easily. So that's the only reason that you knew. Either you learn manual, but what I think personally, I think there are a lot of manual jobs. So for example, we do that with the students right now, job market overview and resume preparation and interview preparation at the moment with the current group. So there are, like, if you look on LinkedIn, just go to the job section and start type like something manual QA. You will find that in the United States there are like 3,000 positions at the moment. So you apply all of them. So it's more than enough for you. And some of them will disappear in a week. Some of them, new jobs will appear in a week. So this is a continuous process that you're applying for the jobs and looking for the job. And you don't have to look for, because the problems we had like 2 years ago, you had to look for the jobs in your local area because everybody was working in the office. So you actually was limited by your just local area. So if your city, small city, has 3 positions, you went to the interview, you got rejected, or other candidates got the job, that's it. There is no more job. You have to like relocate to other place and find the job over there or whatever. Right now, most of the job are remote, and you just not limited by local area. You just apply for every job in the United States. Very cool. The market is the best market ever for IT, right? Because you work remotely. I work from my bedroom right now, right? I'm right in my bedroom right now, sitting here, just, having few monitors. I have few laptops on my desk, right? And I just work remotely, and it's very nice. Very good time and to find the job and look for the job and etc. Okay, I already have certification, but have 0K training. Yeah, that's the idea why you need to join QA and take JavaScript in parallel. How soon you normally post YouTube videos? As soon as possible. So if it will be processed by Google in like maybe in an hour, and we will upload it maybe in like 20 minutes. So maybe you will get like in 2 hours, you should get the video recording on YouTube. So you can come back and change your code if it's dynamic and Java can. No, it's not like that, Natalia, but you will see. You will see what I mean once you start learning the coding basics. Okay, outside join. Somebody joining. Okay, so any other questions? You can turn your microphone on and ask me a question or type something in the chat. Just raise your hand if you want to ask me something. Okay.
For test automation, do we also need I don't know where I should go in most. Is it in Python or in like Java for test automation? Because I see that most of the people, they do the automation in Python also, but I'm still confused. I don't know which way is the best to go for automation or for test automation.
Yeah, I would prefer because Python is a great language. It's a great language, but it's used for mostly right now for science. So scientists used to right now use it for some data analysis. That's one usage, a big usage Python, and another usage networks, AI, or something like that. If you're interested in that particularly, you have to learn Python. If you just would like, to be a web developer, because, how do you think? Just comparing, are there more scientists in the world, or AI developing companies, or just web developing companies that just develop some web product in your browser?
The web developer and like mobile app developer.
Yeah, I mean, like the most popular, yes, company, not popular, the number of companies developing mobile applications or web applications way were like larger than just some scientists like labs, or the companies developing AI, right? So that's correct. So if you're interested in learning AI, then yes, you can go and learn Python. But if you would like to hire your chances to get a job, for example, and maybe become a developer eventually, not only tester, but developer, let's say React developer, and work at Facebook, for example, then you learn JavaScript. That's simple. But you don't learn JavaScript. Again, it's not about JavaScript. It's about the community that, based on JavaScript, build test automation frameworks, very popular, and build React, which is the most popular front-end developer development framework. And it became popular, right? Because it's very easy to create web applications in React, and it became very popular. It's right now managed by Facebook, and every company I used to work at Apple, they were using React. I used to work at another nonprofit organization, they used to use React. All my friends work at Microsoft, HP, everybody uses React. The company I work for right now uses React. The company I'm interviewing for using React. Everybody's using React. It's JavaScript. So why should I learn something else? I don't need to. If I need to learn something later, because for example, I personally would like to learn Python, and this will be my next language I learn, right? So, but once I have time. But why I need to do that? If in order to get a job over there are a lot of jobs, and they require React or Cypress or WebDriver IO, which is JavaScript-based frameworks. Why do I need to learn something else if I have a lot of jobs out there just on my language? And my approach learning JavaScript will allow me not just only be a React developer or test automation engineer, but also a mobile developer or full stack developer in the future once I learn new tools, right? Because I know the language already. That's why it gives me flexibility. That's why I love it. But I'm not against other languages. I just love JavaScript because it gives me flexibility to learn more and not start from scratch, because I would like to learn something else and I have to learn a new language for that. And with JavaScript, I can do everything, and that's why I love it. Okay.
Thank you.
Did you teach API also? Yes. And databases. So API, so databases, like, how to tell you? So we teach API and how actually the front end communicates with the backends through API, but databases actually are part of that. So API is the way for the front end application that opens in your browser to get some information from the backend, and backend includes server plus database. So we don't give you an access. So API doesn't give you an access to database directly. It gives you an access to database through API, through the server, right? So this is what we teach you, how to test the API. Yes, we teach the API as well. And this is actually what we're going to do with the class tomorrow, with the people that are studying QA right now. And we teach that both in manual and automation. So in manual, we just teach how it works. And automation, we just teach how to do it automatically with test automation frameworks. Okay, so no more questions. So let's move forward. So this is the application we're going to test. So this is the simple application we created for this specific free course. This is created by our teachers, and I believe mostly by Sergey. So the application that we will work on the main QA course, on that big one, 3 months course, that application created by me, And Sergey also was helping me a little bit. But this application, also our platform, is created by Sergey. So the teacher who will be giving you test automation lessons, right? He created, because he's a React developer as well. So that's why he created this application. Yeah, so this application just for this course. This is a simple application that we created. This is the functional requirements for the application. It describes how it works. So this is how it usually happens. Before you even have the application, you have the requirements. How the application will work in the future. And your goal when you start this, you need to read them and understand if something is unclear, right? Something is missing, something contradicts. You don't understand something because it's not complete. There is incompleteness, right? The requirements are not complete. In this case, that's why you work, because same feelings developer will have, same feelings, right? And if something is unclear, they will actually create bugs because they will not understand the requirements fully. So they create their own version of the application and it will be buggy. So there will be software bugs that you need to report. And that's the exact reason why you work on the requirements, to prevent all of that, to save their time, to make them clear. So you invest and spend time right now and save it later, but you save more time later than you spend right now. So what we do, we read the requirements, ask questions, and point some contradictions, or and ask questions if something is unclear. Hey, how does this work? I didn't get it. How it works, and etc. So you make it clear, and you ask the person who creates the requirements. Usually, it's the person called business analyst who works on the requirements. That person usually interacts with the business representatives or whoever. For example, if you're a company taking orders for developing applications, right? So that business analyst usually talks to the client, gathers some high-level requirements, and creates this detailed level requirements. So there's usually this person called business analyst. Sometimes, like in big companies like Apple or Facebook, all the products are internal. So the client is some top manager who had an idea, who got it approved from CEO, for example, right? And that person is the main client. And business analyst usually works with that person, gathers the high-level requirements, and then creates these detailed requirements. So that's what that person does. And you as a tester will be working with that person to finalize this, to analyze this, finalize, and like make them super clear for everybody on the project. That's the main goal, again, to save money and time for the company and to prevent bugs. Not to have a lot of them and find them, but to prevent them. Because as much these guys are clear, as less bugs developers will create. That's the approach we take. Okay, so this is just the background that says that this is the web application. It's called Get in Line. And it just created for, small clinics to control the queue. For example, you have some clinic, they didn't have a like queue, they didn't have tickets, they didn't have anything, right? Like we had a lot of those during the COVID time. So this application helps even a small mobile clinic. Like you have a mobile clinic, they just stopped as a truck, stopped somewhere on the parking, and they are doing like vaccination, right? And in order to control the queue, they just open our application on the tablet, and they have tablet standing in front of the clinic, and that's it. The people just coming, clicking the button, getting in line, and putting their name in line. So the doctor on the other side, once they do the shot, they remove person from the line, and this line moves, right? So Mike M once get a shot, moved out from the queue, and then you have Emily is the first, and the queue moves, right, to the top. So this is how it works. Very simple application, just from clinics to control the queue, so people can see them themselves in the line and their place in the line in the queue, so they can prepare, for the shot and etc. So this is the general overview how it works, and you start reading, right? You start reading. So this is the link URL where the application will be published, right? So you will be able to test it later by using that link. But before that, you just read the requirements and try to understand them. So by navigating to the application, user can see 3 sections. Okay, text area. Okay, image. Okay, this is the image. Then table. Okay, table, and join the queue button. Okay, so first of all, oh man, why is 4 but it says 3 over here? So what we do in this case, right? So you see that there is a contradiction. It says 3 sections. There is 4. I imagine how that could happen, because maybe it was initially 3 sections. Initially it was 3, but then design was changed. So business analyst just added 4th section and updated the design, but forget to update this word. So initially it was 3 sections. Maybe get in line was over here, right? Or maybe it was along with table in the middle. I don't know. But how it usually happens, somebody just forget to update this word, but updated the list and updated the design, right? So what you do here, you leave a comment for business analyst. So you select this text, and you will get actually this document. I will share it with you. So you select this text and click this add comment, or select the text and do the right click and do the comment as well, comment, right? And then say, hey, for example, it says 3, but 4 sections listed below, and on the design so, and you leave this comment. So business analyst will get the email notification that somebody left a comment and will come here and reply. So this is the process. So business analyst comes here and then replies, oh, yeah, that's my bad. That was old information fixed. So business analyst will actually change to 4. Then you come, read the comment. Okay, it was old information and blah, blah, blah. And you see that it's 4 right now. So it's matching the description over here. It's 4 here and it says 4 here. And then you just click it as result. So you open the comment, then business analyst answers the question and updates the requirements. And then you resolve it if you're satisfied. If you're not satisfied, you reply again in the same thread. You click on it. There will be an option to add a new comment. You actually add another comment, right? And etc., etc., etc. So until you get satisfied and you click resolve. So you mark it as resolved once you got an answer where everything is clear and the requirements are fixed. So that's the process of working with documentation. Then let's see. When I read this, I also check it with the design spec. So that's text area, right? Take a look over here. So the text area is over here, right? Okay, I see that. So image is here. Okay. So the table is here. Okay. And the join the queue button. Oh, why it says join the queue and get in line? Okay, so that's another question. Comment. It says join the queue over here and get in line on the design spec, right? That's it. This is another problem that I found, and business analyst will figure out. Either a business analyst will need to update the requirements, the design spec, because this is the source, this is the truth, or vice versa. Maybe this is the correct version, and business analyst will just need to update the text over here so they match, and that's it. So you start reading back. Text area located in the left section. Okay, it's not clear. Left, top or bottom. So it's unclear. So I would ask here as well. Okay, is it top as on the design spec? Like top left section, like this. Okay, and that's it. So you go and read and etc. So consists of 3 lines. There are, got it, X people, 4 people, because it's 4 people in the table, okay? In the, oh, interesting. It's in over here, but in is over here. Okay, so this is unclear. Okay, let me select this like this. What software is usually used for cuts? I will show you. Yeah. Okay, let me copy this because it will be easier for me to actually. It says in the line here. Oh, can I do this bold? No. But shows like this: X people in the line on the design spec. It's also important, right? So you just, and that's it. This is what you actually do. You go over the requirements, you read them, and then try to understand how it works. And if it's actually clear for you, if there are any contradictions, incompleteness, because maybe you don't understand something, right? You actually need to understand something more, and you ask those questions. You select the part you don't understand, or is contradicting, or ambiguous, or something like that, and you add a comment for it, whatever. Okay, so you don't have to care about this. I mean, like, how many pixels is the font size? Because we will actually check it in the browser. So we will learn how to do this while we'll be testing. But what you need to do right now is just to trust it, right? If business analyst says the font size of this text, the size of the font should be 50 pixels, right? You don't care how developers will implement it. This is the requirement, and you just need, if it's clear, and it is clear, right? It should be 50 pixels. You just trust it, and that's it. Because many people ask, hey, how I'm going to test this, right? How I'm going to know that this is, you will test this once you have the application. So for now, you don't think how you will test it. You think, is this clear or not? Means like, if you know how to test, let's say you know how to test that this is the family of the font, will you be able to understand it? Yes, because you are able to test it. So you will be able to test it. So your goal is just to understand that, okay, this is the font size, the font family is here as well, and the font color is there. How to test the color? This is the exact code of the color. I will also show you on the next lesson next Monday. So this is how it works, right? But this is clear, right? So it says text is left aligned. You see that it's aligned to the left. Yeah, got it. Not to the middle, not to the right, because we see that's empty space over here. It's aligned to the left. It's clear. Font family to go UI. We will check it once we have it, but we will create a test case based on this. The font size is 50 pixels and the color is that. And we will check it. And just a note saying that X is actually a number of people in the line. So it's 4 here, it should be 4 here, right? So it should match, which is also clear, right? It's clear. Okay, got it. Image. So this is the image, got it. I would ask about the location. It's obvious that it should be located, if it's located in the left top section, it should be located in the right top section of the page. It's obvious, but it's not mentioned over here. So I would just double check with the business analyst saying that, hey, what is the exact location, right? And then etc. So it says image is dynamic, right? But it says 600 pixels, and the height is defined as well. So how is it dynamic if the width is designed over here? So this is the contradiction. If it's static, then it makes sense to check pixels, right? If you have pixels, exact pixels, the size of the image, it's static, it's not dynamic. So it's actually a contradiction, right? And this is it. You just go and read them and try to find the problems. So this is part of the homeworks that we need to do. is something. Oh, yeah. So we are going to use, this is just Google Docs. Very simple. This is just a Google Doc that you will have an access to as a commenter. So you'll be able to comment. And business analyst will be person who will be actually editing this document and making changes. So you will be just able to select the text and comment it, add a comment, right? You are not able to change it. So you, business analyst, will be the one making updates, answering questions, clarifying things, and etc. So your goal at this point to read the requirements and make sure you understand everything, how it will work. Because eventually you have this, right? Table, text. Text is pretty static. The image is static. The table is changing once you add people in the line. And the button, once you click, it opens this pop-up when you can get it in line, entering first name, last name, birth date, and select the vaccine, and then submit. Once you submit it, you get your ID, and it's described how ID is get assigned, right? And then you click close, and that's it. You see yourself in the list as the last person. And table has a tricky functionality, pretty much. It says if it displays maximum 7 rows. If there is more than 7, then it changes. So it displays 5. 6th row is ellipsis, 3 dots, and then displays the last person in the line. Just to not have like a huge long table and huge page that you need to scroll. It always should be only 7 rows. Up to 7, it displays like this. If there will be 1 person, it will display 1 person. And up to 7. So maximum you can see 7 people. 7. Once you get 8 person joining the queue, you will see 5 ellipses and number 8. So you will not see 6 and 7. It will be covered by here, ellipses. And this is the functionality of the table. And that's pretty much it. This is the application. Yeah. And now you can see how small application is. And seems like it's very simple, but see how many requirements are there. Describing the colors, describing the functionality of the date fields, of the radio buttons, right? And how it works, how this ID is getting generated, how table works. All of that is very complex, right? And all of that covered by requirements, the background color, and etc. So all this is a simple application, but this is how many requirements it has. And this is what you will see in the real world, right? So even simple applications on your mobile phone, every button you test, everything, it should be tested like this. It depends on the company. Some companies have more high-level requirements because it's not necessary to test the exact color code of the button. But for example, at Apple, I used to work at Apple, every pixel matters. So between the image and the button, there should be 76 pixels. Not 75, not 77, 76. And that's it. If requirements say like that, you have to check that it's 76 pixels. So and every color code matters because it's legal consequences, right? If they have specific color that they have like right to use for, like those weird color names, whatever they use for iPhones and etc. So all those color codes are reserved for Apple. So every code matters at Apple, right? So it depends on the company. At some companies, you check every single color, every single code, every single spacing. At some companies, you just check in general because it doesn't matter. So it depends on the company, right? And for a free course, we're going to use Google Docs. This is the document. This is how we're going to interact. What we use for the main course? For the main course, we use Azure DevOps. And in Azure DevOps, we host everything. This is very powerful tool. So we have the documentation here, requirements over here. We have sprint boards where we manage our assignments and etc. So we have sprints that we do, right? How many sprints with our team? So everybody has assignments, right? Tasks they're working on, bugs they report and check and close, and etc. So we use Azure DevOps because it allows us to have documentation, allows us to have bug tracking system, test management system, code storage system. So we have all the codes over here. You hit front end, back end, Cypress automation, WebDriver IO automation is here as well. Continuous integration pipelines, servers, deployment, releases, everything in one place. So that's why we use, and this is very expensive tool. This used by big companies, and we use this tool just to, so you work on the real project. So what we actually do with our students, we add them just right away to this platform, add them to the project, and they start actually working on the requirements in sprints. They start working on that right away since day one, right? So we put them on the project, and instead of just learning, theory, they learn how it works on practice. So they get actually experience working on the project while they learn QA. So they start with requirements, then they start doing test planning. So what we do actually, we put them on the project, say, hey, this is how we work in the requirements. Same like with you, right? I explain you how to work with requirements, and you will work that on Google Doc, but they do this on the project. They join the project and do this here. As you can see, we have multiple environments, multiple servers, right? Dev environment, QA environment, production environment, etc. They write test plans. They work on the sprint boards. We work in Scrum. We have different meetings, stand-up meetings. We have requirements refinement meeting. We have retrospective meetings, and etc. Right? So we have all of that. We do retrospectives. Very complex project to work on, just to be a real life, right? So you get the experience. So this is what we do on the main project. But for the free project, and how it works on the real world. So for example, there is a here for the header. So this is the requirements for the header, right? So we have this in here as well, just in this system. So they read as well. They have the same thing over here, requirements over here, but they leave comments over here. Discussion, they leave comments. They tag business analyst if something is unclear. And we are making clear right away over here. It's stored in the requirements, so they have everything over here. So the approach is the same. There is documentation, and they leave comments, tagging people and asking some questions or point some contradictions, etc. So this is how it works. So this is the first part of the homework that you're going to do. Just read the requirements and ask questions. And our goal as a team to find all the problems, to make this by next Monday super clear. Not even by Monday, because we will need to start the test planning sooner, probably like just in a few days, as soon as possible, probably by Wednesday. By this Wednesday, we need to finalize this document. And what we need to do is just to find all the problems or the incompleteness, contradictions, right? Because this is the contradiction, 3 and 4. It says 3, here it lists 4, contradiction. The button name and the button name contradiction. This is incompleteness because it's incomplete. It's a left section, but which? Like they're like the entire left section, but the top part of it, or how it works, because it says it has 4 sections. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there is a top left and bottom left. The top right and bottom right, right? So there should be 4 sections. So it's not just the left, but the probably top left section. Correct. It's incompleteness, right? This is contradiction. It says because there is different layout on the design spec than in the text, right? This is contradiction. Dynamic, but the width and height is defined, which is static, right? And etc. So you look for incompleteness or contradictions or ambiguous. If something just not understandable for you. Something is there, but not understandable, right? Not clear. So yeah, this is the first part of the homework. And I will actually post the homework in the chat, so you'll be able to like see everything you need to do. Let's do this till Wednesday, because on Thursday you're going to have coding basics lesson, so you'll be busy. So let's do this by Wednesday. So on Wednesday you can start test planning. Okay, questions about the requirements? Okay, no questions. Sounds great. So the next thing that we're going to work in is the test cases. Oh, let me open actually the document. So again, as you remember, I told you what I usually do. I split my screen into two pieces, right? One piece is the requirements, the second piece is test cases. So again, for the test cases, what we're going to do is just create a spreadsheet. I'm going to test to share this spreadsheet with you. And what you're going to do, like this, here you go. You click File, and then make a copy. And this will create a copy of this spreadsheet on your Google Drive. And then once you have this copy of this test case, you will be continue to proceed and to continue creating. So, okay, so let me check. Let me remove this. It's not required yet. Okay, so how we create test cases? As I said, as I already presented you in the presentation, you start with reading the requirements on the left and try to understand how many requirements are there. So by navigating to the application, user can see 3 sections. It's actually 4, right? 4 sections, probably. So we create by navigate. So actually, and what you do, you actually like this, copy, paste, and just make it full sentence, full understandable sentence, not just copy paste. Copy and paste just for you to save your time, to copy parts of the text. But the test case itself should be like clear. If you just, without even the requirements, you just hide the requirements and read the test case itself, it should be clear for everybody, for me, for a person who just joined the team, and etc. So this is the main requirement for the test case. It should be clear and full. Because some people say like this, they will copy. So in first test case, we test the quantity, the number of sections, right? So we can paste 3 for now, because we have a question. It's not answered yet. I think it's 4 because it's listed 4 over here. It's showed list 4 over here. They described here as well. So I think it should be 4. This is just a typo or an old information. So I will put 4, but I will mark my test case highlighted by yellow, let's say, right? So I can see that there is a remaining question. Once this question is answered, I will just reset the formatting and it will become without highlight as well. But for now, I'm going to highlight it just to let myself know that there is some remaining question about this, because it may change. Maybe it will be not 4. Maybe business analyst will tell me, hey, you have to actually change it to 3. It's old information. And we'll replace the design spec, and get in line will be along with the table, and etc. I don't know, so I will mark it for myself. Okay, then the text area. So some people, what they do, let me just actually remove the text area. Okay, and they just copy like this and say text area. But then, are you able to understand? Let's say you are a new person. You came to the company, somebody tells you, hey, we have test cases, and you have a simple task, just go and execute them. You open the test cases document, start executing, and then you see, okay, by navigating to the application, the user can see 4 sections. You open the application, and you see 4 sections. Yeah, good. So there are 4 sections. You don't check actual sections. You just check that there are 4 sections. You check there are 4. This test case passes. The number of sections is correct. Number only, right? Then you check the test case. The next you read is the text area. And what is that? Nobody knows, right? Because you have to be clear. Copy paste is just to help you to save your time, but the test cases should be full, describing what you're testing. So here, what you tested, you may say the text area. So you're checking that the text area. The text area is displayed. Now it makes sense, right? So you check that the text area is displayed, and etc. You can copy this like this. Text area is displayed. The image is displayed. The table is displayed, and etc. But also what you can test here right away, where it's displayed. For example, the top left is displayed in the top left section of the page. And etc. Same here. Okay, the image is displayed in the top right section of the page. And now imagine you are a new person who just joined the team, and they tell you, hey, can you go and execute the test cases? We'll be able to execute these test cases. Just open them, no requirements, and just say, okay, by navigating to the application user can see for section. We'll be able to test that. Yes or no? I see some people saying yes. Okay. Yes, because they are full and clear, right? Then the text area is displayed in the top left section of the page. Yes. The image is displayed in the top right section of the page. Yes, absolutely. You can just copy this again. Then the table, say the table is displayed in the bottom left section of the page. And add in line, oh, I need to mark it actually. I will just do like this, copy from here. The join the queue button is displayed in the bottom right section. Bottom right section of the page, but I will mark it yellow because I am not sure about the final title of the button, right? So I will mark it for now. And etc. You move forward. So you already covered this. Great. Awesome. And then consists of 3 lines. Okay, so you test, again, try to test granularly, right? So you don't test all of in one test case saying that, hey, the text area consists of 3 lines and it should be, there are X people in the line, and all of that in one test case. No, don't do that. Try to test granularly. And the reason is very simple, because you can have multiple failures in one single test case, and your goal to have one failure, right? One failure per test case. So you need to do that granularly. So you test the number of lines first, because maybe the text is correct, but the number of lines are incorrect. Maybe there are in 2 lines or in 1 line. So the number of lines is incorrect, but the text is correct. So try to test that separately. For example, the text area, text area consists of 3 lines. Lines of text. And that's it. You will test that there is 3 lines. Maybe there are 3 lines, but the text is incorrect, right? So you will test that separately. The first line, then the first line is there are, right? And you will test it separately. There are, and that's probably where you get a bug, because in is here and in is here, so you actually will have to mark it as yellow. The second line, the second maybe text line, so we understand better, is X people, but I will mark this yellow because I'm not sure which is correct, the design or the text over here. X people. I will base on text for now in the line. The third line. And also I will this copy the X is the number of people in the line and in the table. So this additional comment will help that person who will work on the test cases will understand it better. And this is how you do. So let me mark this yellow as well. And once I get the answers in the table, I go to my test cases and unmark them. So let's say if business analyst will say, oh, this is correct, so in should be in this line, we'll fix it over here, we'll add in over here and remove it from here. So you go and actually correct your test cases as well. So you add here and remove here, and then unmark them, right? You reset. So unmark them, and they are not highlighted as yellow. But I will leave it as is because it depends on the business analyst answer. And that's pretty much it. You go and just say, okay, the text is left aligned. The text font family is Sego UI. The text font size is 50 pixels. The text color is RGB, blah, 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 right? And you create all of those test cases. Once you will have the application, it's not right now, we will start doing that next week. But once you have the application, you open it, and by navigating to the application, users can see 4 sections. You will mark it pass or fail, but it's not today. It will be next week, because next week I will show you how to actually execute and report bugs. So that will be the next week action. This week, you work on the requirements and the test cases. So again, if you want to check the homework, you fast forward to the end of this video, and then you see that I'm telling you that you read the requirements. If you see incompleteness, contradictions, or ambiguities, you add comments. You select that part of the text that is unclear for you, and you add a comment, clicking this, right? And you read all of that and try to understand. If something is unclear, you ask questions until you get full understanding, because this is how it's supposed to be, and you try to make it as clear as possible. So you have less problems in the future, and you save money and time for the company. And don't forget to tell this those people who will be interviewing you, because if you will show the understanding of these processes, they will just hire you, because nobody understands that. You will have to actually explain people how it works, because most of the people just do this because this is how they learn it, because you have to do that, but they don't understand why we are doing this. So please remember this. We do this to improve the overall quality of the requirements, so we have less problems and less misunderstanding in the future, because if developers don't understand this correctly, they will create some problems in the application. You will find those bugs, and you will have to report them, and they will have to fix them. You will have to, again, verify the fix. So you will spend a lot of time because of these problems. So your goal will be actually make sure that it's clear by asking questions and getting answers, right? You will get answers. If that answer satisfies you, then you mark it as resolved. Again, this is how it works. Again, you ask the question, you get answer. If you get the answer, you get the update according to the answer. If that answer satisfies you, then you click resolve. You, the person who opens the comment, resolved it. So that means you have no problems with this part of the requirements anymore, and etc. So in order just to save time, in case if you see that somebody already highlighted something, right, and you agree with that statement, you don't have to select it and leave another comment like this, another comment. You don't have to do that. You can just do this and do like this, +1. So I see that you as well found this problem and you agree with it, right? So you don't have to leave another comment for the same thing. You just can click on the existing comment and add +1. So that's the first part. Second part, once you're done with this, you open this file. Oh, where is that? Okay, there's another screen. I will share it with you in the chat as well. So what you do first, you come here, you make a copy. It will actually show you the folder on your Google Drive where to save it, and you will have the name of the document. So you make it test cases and your name. Let's say right? And that's it. Make a copy. So once you make a copy, you will see this copy on your Google Drive, and this is what I have. Yeah, these cases are Artursenko. So in that folder that I selected over there, and then you continue working in your test cases, because this is a document you will be able to edit. My document you won't be able to edit. It's not editable for you. It's just read only. So you make a copy, and then create your test cases in your document. And that's it. And this is it for this lesson. The next lesson, we will start testing the application, executing those test cases, and creating bug reports. What else I wanted to show you? Oh, that's it. That's it for today. No more information to overwhelm your brain. For now, question time. So let me stop sharing for a moment. If I will need to share something, I will share it again. But any questions? Is this something? Okay, tell me. Is this something difficult that you cannot do, or this is something pretty logical? That's something that you can do.
Yeah, it was good, but I just want to know that when we should complete the homework. Is it
Yeah.
for next day? When?
All of this is due by Monday.
Next week.
Next week, next Monday, because next Monday we will start executing. So what we need to do? So I suggest you to work on the documentation as soon as possible. Let's start today, tomorrow. So by Wednesday, I will try to get you all the answers by Wednesday. So by Wednesday, you have the final version of the requirements. And then you can do the test cases. But what you can do, you can ask questions, and parallelly, you can actually create test cases, right? And at the same time. So, and mark some unclear test cases by yellow, like me. And once you get answer, you update them if you want to save time. Or what you can do, you can work on the documentation first by Wednesday. Then on Wednesday, when you will have the final version, after that, I tell you, hey guys, there is a final version of documentation. You can start creating test cases, and then you actually work on the test cases, and that's it. And you will not have to actually mark them because everything will be clear. You will work as of final version. So let's take this approach. Let's maybe actually work on the requirements till Wednesday, and on Wednesday you can start working on the test cases to make it clear. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
And that's pretty much it. But in general, I mean, like, in terms of like, is reading manual for some application is something difficult, and just trying to understand it, and then seeing that, oh, it doesn't match, it's something difficult. And then based on this, creating just list of checks that you're going to do in the future application. Is this something difficult? This is what we do daily, actually, as a testers.
Excuse me, just a quick question. Can you tell me where I can find the manuals? I mean, the documentation.
I will after the lesson, I will send all of that, like the homework. Hey, this is the link to the requirements. Hey, this is the link to the test cases template. I will send all of that, and the description what needs to be done. So everything will be in the chat.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Ksyusha, do you have a question?
Yes, I actually typed it in the chat, but I wanted to ask, how long does it usually take for someone who already had the training to do one of these testing? Let's say for one project, one company sends you a project and you have to do testing. How long does it take a regular person to do that?
As I mentioned, usually we do the sprints, right? So what we do, we do sprints. So actually, so there is a sprint. Let's say, let me open the Azure DevOps sprint. Oh, this is not the one. This is one. Sprint, word sprint. So this is something that you will learn later, or will come to you with experience. So you have a sprint, and sprint usually has a scope. It's defined by the team effort, by business analysts, by you as a testers, by developers. So how much work we are able to do in one sprint as a team. And one team can be 5 people, other team can be 20 people. So it really depends on the project, right? So if and it never ideal if you start the project. So usually it comes with the experience. So let's say if you just start the project, you say, let's take 12 user stories. And user story is just a piece of the requirements. Let's say if I take this text piece and just put it in a separate document saying that, hey, one developer, let's develop this part of the application. Another developer, let's develop this. And a third developer, let's develop the table. Fourth developer, let's develop the button and that pop-up that will appear once you click it. So we will split this documentation along the different user stories. And this is how we do. We break down like huge requirement list to pieces that developers can work on during the 2-week cycles, right? This is what we do. And it's not defined by you or defined by somebody. Usually it's like a team effort. Breaking down the requirements usually done by business analysts. But like how much work we can do in a 2-week cycles, because usually sprints are 2-week cycles, defined by team. And let's say in the first round, the first cycle, we took 10 user stories, but we were able to complete 5. So next time you will take 5 and see what happens. And you were able to complete like 5, and then you took 2 more user stories because you became more efficient, right? And then you take 7 next, third sprint, and then you do 7 and you see, oh, this is probably the ideal number of user stories. And then you just get better and better every time. So it really depends, because this is how it works. We were able as a team to do, how many user stories? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 user stories, right? So this is a lot because we had a big team. But if there is a smaller team, like 5 people, it will be less user stories. So how much testing? It depends on the size of your team. Because if you have 1 developer, he will be able to produce some small piece of the application. And if you have 1 developer, you will have 1 QA. He will be able to produce something. You will be able to test only this, and that's it, right? If you have 5 developers and 4 testers, there will be more work. But again, the amount of work you will do in the sprint will be pretty much the same, because you will work on documentation, on your user story. You will work on the test cases creation for your user story. You will test your user story. You will report bugs for your user story. User story is a part of the requirements. I'm sorry, didn't explain that properly. So this is just when you break down all the requirements into smaller pieces. That's called 1 user story, right? Something that you developed for one single case that you need to test. And then you work on that. So you just split work between other people, because again, this is not in most of the cases, it's not only you working on the project, it's like more other people as well. And you just split work. Developers split work between themselves. You split work in your team, right? And you work on 1 user story, sometimes 2 people per user story, and etc. So it really depends. There is no like exact answer, because if your QA lead or QA manager thinks that we need to work like 2 people per user story, you will be working like that. And you will be cooperating with 1 more QA to work on the requirements, then to do the test cases. And you will think, hey, let me do the first part. And you probably start from this part, right? And I will cover the first part of the requirements. You cover the second part of the requirements, right? And this is how you do. So it really depends. So there is no answer. So, but you usually try to do all of that, like work on the requirements, then create test cases, then test everything, report bugs, verify bug fixes, all of that in 1 single sprint in 2 weeks, right? So this is pretty quick. So you spent a few days on this, then a few days on testing, on test cases creation, then developers spent a few days on creating the first version of the application. You start testing, you report bugs, they fix the bugs, right? And you try to fix them, and then you do like 1 more day for regression testing, and then you have the end of the sprint. You usually meet with the team, do effective meeting. You try to analyze whether everything went good or wrong. Then you analyze, try to improve next sprint, and etc. You go to the next sprint, and run back and forth. Every sprint you do the same. So this is pretty much it. But so the amount of work will depend on the size of your team in general. But your individual work pretty much will be the same, because you will be able to do as much as you can, right? So you should be able to take a small piece of the application, analyze the requirements, create test cases, test it, report bugs, work with developers and fixes, do regression testing at the end, and I will explain you later what is that as well. And then just close the release, saying that, okay, everything is good, everything was fixed, and etc. It's ready. Then you see that you had more time. Let's say you worked on the requirements and you see that you have time to do something more. So you pick another user story. Maybe next cycle you will take 2 user stories instead of 1. So it will come with the experience, and it really depends on the project. Even I can join the project. I have no idea about the application they developed. I have to learn, right? I have to play with the application first, start doing the requirements, start work on 1 user story, try, and then see, okay, I can do 3 user stories in the cycle, but it will come to me later because every project is a new experience. It's very hard to say, right? So you will have that understanding once you join the real project and work on it. Once you change the company, join another project, new company, it will be absolutely new experience for you in terms of like amount of work or the project you work on, because it's a new project for you. And in order to understand how much you can do, you have to actually start doing that and just see. So that's the answer. Is that clear?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Is there a way to lower your hand? I don't see. I see that Boris is asking as well. Do you have a question, Boris?
Yes, my name is Alexandra, and I have a question about our homework.
Okay.
Homework will be checked individually, or we will pass and we will check with a general answer of some of kind of in the next lesson.
No, I will tell you how to do that. So I will check your homework. So for this part, I don't have to check because I will see all the comments that you leave. So I don't have to check. For the test cases, there will be check. I will tell you what to do. So I will post a comment in this chat, in 22 free May chat. There will be homework post saying that, hey, this is the homework, blah, 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 right? And you do like this. So you actually reply in thread, and you can send, hey, here's my test cases. And you put the test cases link. So there's the link. Oh man, over here. So you do share. Then you do anyone on the internet with this link can view. Okay, and then you copy. If this is not like this, it's restricted. You change it, make it anyone with the link viewer. You don't have to change it, it's just viewer. So you just actually
You don't show.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Okay, so this is it. So blah, blah, blah. So this is the Slack, right? So you have the access to Slack. And I will post the homework over here. So here you will have a homework as well as a message, as a separate message. It will say, hey, hi guys, this is the homework. You have to work on that and that and that and that. And here are the documents. So I will describe everything in detail, what you need to do here and what you need to do in the test cases. Okay, then what you do, you actually in the homework thread, I need to check your test cases. I don't need to check your requirements work because I will see your comment over here. So I will see your comments. I don't need anything else. I will see exactly who's working on something and who's not. I will be actually marking people. I have the, where's my, I usually put the people who do the homework in this table and just mark, okay, the QA1 homework was done, JavaScript work was done, QA2 was done, and etc. Right? So I marked people, and I will check your homework. I will see it over here. In terms of requirements work, in terms of test cases, what you do, you actually, again, you make a copy of my document, you create a copy of your test cases, and you start writing them. Once you're done with the test cases, you need to share this document with me. So you make it shareable. So over here, make sure it's anyone with the link viewer, so they can view, right? And you copy this, and then you go back to Slack, and then reply to the homework post. Say, here is my test cases, and you paste the link. So what I will see your name, I will see here's my test cases, and I will check your test cases. And if I mark them like this, it means I check them and they are okay. If not, then I will say, hey, you have to fix blah, blah, blah. You have to fix all of that. You have to fix all of that. They are not complete and blah, blah, blah. They are not maybe shared correctly with me. And this is what you need to do. And that's pretty much it. So I will actually explain all of that. But the only thing that you need to share with me is the test cases. And do that as quickly as possible. If we do the requirements by Wednesday, and let's say you are able to create the test cases on Thursday, just share them with me on Thursday. If you're able to do that on Friday, share them with me on Friday. Whatever, I will check them once you send it to me. Okay? Clear?
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, got it. I see that Ephraim, you're raising a hand. Question? I cannot hear you. You're presenting something, I see, but I cannot hear you.
Do you talk with me?
No. I see Ephraim was raising a hand.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then I see Alona Stukalova raising a hand. Alona, do you have a question?
We can laugh one more time. I'm Alena's husband. We're sitting both watching this. We have a question at the document Get in Line. Could you please open it? So if you go a bit lower, I have a question. How can we check a font size, color? Do we have to check this one? But I just cannot understand how we can do it.
We checked. Oh, can you mute
repeat?
yourself?
Yes, one moment.
Because I can hear myself. Yeah. So we don't have to check anything right now. This is just for you. This is business analyst saying that, hey, this is what you need to implement. So the font for developer, right? So, hey, developer, I want font family of this text to be Segoy UI. The font size should be 50 pixels. You are not able to check it here. At the moment, you just trust. So developer will implement it properly, and you will check these values only when you will be executing your test cases. So at this moment, you just trust this information. It's clear. It's not, if let's say font family, it says font family Segoy UI over here, but somewhere over here, it says text area with font family, I don't know, Times New Roman, for example, right? So it will be contradiction because it says Times New Roman over here and Segoy UI over here. Right now, it doesn't contradict with anything else. So actually what you do, you just trust it and create a test case based on that, saying that, hey, the text area font family is Segoy UI. And we will be checking if it's correct next Monday, once we start testing the application. Got it?
Yes, thanks.
Okay, so at this moment, just nothing to test. You just make sure it's clear, it doesn't contradict with anything else, right? And etc. So this is the only thing that you do right now. And based on this, you create test cases. That's what you do. Okie dokie. Yes, Ephraim, I got your message. You said that you're joined late. Yes, but not a big deal. This meeting is getting recorded. We are done with the lesson, actually. I'm going to just publish this video to our YouTube channel. How you can find. So again, so you always can find, if you are joining the Slack from the computer, you will able to see the webinar link, this link that we are talking with you right now over here, and the video recordings over here. This is the playlist that you open, and you see the video recordings will be over here. Got it? So that's pretty much it. So you will get the video recording of the lesson, yeah, and etc. And today was a manual QA lesson, so somebody interested in coding only doesn't have to join it. You will be joining the coding only lessons, which is first lesson on Thursday, and you will get a separate notification about it in the chat that, hey, we started the coding lesson on Thursday, right? Same time on Thursday. Today was a manual QA, so that's it. Any other questions? Stop presenting. Yes, it could be.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
No problem. Easy
Sir,
peasy.
Sir, what is QA stands for?
Quality assurance. It's when you assure the quality of the application.
Okay.
So that's all of them. Yeah, usually you may hear testers, but testing is when you, for example, testing is when you do like validation and verification. That's the testing. When you, for example, create the test cases, right? Then test the application, just report bugs, and that's it. But with the time, you will like expand your responsibilities, which means like something that we were talking about today. Let's say, hey, I was talking that we are not working on documentation because somebody said. We work on the documentation, the requirements, trying to make them clear, just understanding that it will save time for developer. It will save time for us because you have to spend time. If you found the bug, you have to spend time reporting it. Then developer has to spend time reading it, analyzing it, reproducing it. Maybe not able to reproduce it, calling you and asking, hey, can you help me to reproduce it? And you will have to spend time again to reproduce it. The developer will reproduce it and will spend time fixing it. And then you will have to spend time actually testing it again, making sure that it is fixed, and then closing it. So just imagine one single problem, how much time is spent and wasted for the company. And company will be paying money for you, for your work, for developers' work. So that's wasting money and time. Just one single bug. So this level of understanding, but you understand how you improve the processes in general by just working on the requirements, this is called quality assurance. When you ensure quality by not just testing and finding bugs, but preventing them, improving processes, saying that, hey guys, based on my experience, and you will have this experience after the course, saying that based on my experience, we need to invest more time into requirements refinement just to save time later, much more time later. And you explain them your position, give them an example. Hey, we save time right now, less time for me to find bugs, to blah, 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 to fix, to verify. And just imagine one single problem. If you explain this problem like me, this is called quality assurance. If your company agrees with you, they give you more time to work on documentation, right? This is called quality assurance. You ensured quality, you improved quality, not by just finding bugs, but actually by improving processes around that. So that's called quality assurance. And we will try to do that more, like not only just by working on documentation, but also explaining you how important to report detailed bug and how to actually describe it properly, right? To save time for developer, and again, save time for the company, and save time for you. Developer will be calling you, trying to understand bug if it's not clear, etc. So all of that is important, and improving the processes as well, not only just testing, called quality assurance. It's more broader thing. That's quality assurance. And testing is just looking for bugs.
Okay, thank you very much. I know that I asked a lot of questions today, Amanda.
No. This is how we need to do. So this is how we work today with the questions, asking the chat, turning your microphone on, the feedback, hearing your feedback. This is how we used to work, and this is how you should work. This is not a lot of questions. This is normal questions.
Okay, thank you. And my last question. So by manual, it means that there's a lot of things inside the manual. I have to go read on that. So in here, what do you mean by manual?
Manual is, let's say, automation testing, just to explain you the difference. Automation testing, when you write a code, that will test the application. So not you testing the application. You write the code. I'm sorry for the background. My baby is crying. So let me close the door a little bit. Okay, so the manual testing, you test manual. Let's say you have the requirements and they say, hey, that button should be blue, right? And we have that button should be blue. Then you open the application on your phone and check, hey, it's blue. But you check that manually. It's not computer program, right? You just check that manually. It's blue, and then you pass the test case. Then it says, if you fill the form, login form, let's say, correctly, you provide valid email, valid password, and click login, you're signed in. You do it manually. You type your password, you type your email, and click login using your mouse, right? It's manual testing. Automation is when you actually create a code, then click the button, code opens browser and runs and clicks the buttons, entering values and doing all of that for you just automatically. That's called automation. Got it? Yakubi, is that clear?
Yes, thank you.
Awesome. And also Ephraim, GitHub or Git. Yes, we're learning Git as well. Not learning, teaching Git as well. But we're using Azure DevOps. But it works absolutely the same. So you just, the only difference is the link. So the only difference between GitHub and Azure DevOps is just the link. Why we use Azure DevOps, I already explained, guys, because it has everything. So GitHub is just repos in Azure DevOps. This is what GitHub is, to store the code and, you know, to push code, to clone code, to cooperate with the team. Just the repo part of the Azure DevOps is a GitHub, is an analog of GitHub. But we have also boards, which is analog of Jira. We have overview, wiki over here, which is something like Confluence. We have pipelines, which is CI/CD, something like GitHub Actions or something like that, right? Or something else. And the test plans, another like TestRail or something like that. So there are other tools, right? So we have a lot of things, a lot of functionalities, a lot of different applications that covered by different applications in one place. That's why we use Azure DevOps. It also uses Git. The only difference is, in order to clone the repo from GitHub, you clone the GitHub URL. In order to clone the repo from Azure DevOps, you clone this URL. And that's the only difference, because everything else is the same. How you actually commit your changes, how you push your changes, pull your changes, create pull requests, everything is the same. The only difference is just this URL. That's it. So yes, we teach Git. We actually have GitHub. We just don't use it because we have Azure DevOps, right? Oh no, we have few repos here we share with the students just to have some access to some documentation. So actually we have GitHub as well, but it's pretty much the same as Azure DevOps, absolutely, in terms of like cloning and skills, everything else. Okay. Anything else? No problem. Okay, then good luck. I will post the homework. I will try to upload the video as soon as possible. I will post the homework in the chat, which is, oh, I was not sharing my screen, right? I was explaining you, Ephraim, a lot of things and not sharing my screen again. I'm sorry for that. Just feel free to remind me if I'm not doing that, because I was showing GitHub, I was showing Azure DevOps just in front of me, thinking that I'm sharing the screen, but I was not. It's okay. Feel free to remind me next time. Okay, yeah, I will post the homework in the chat, so you will know whatever you need to do. I will probably join the lesson on Thursday. I will try. Oh, I have parallelly the QA class with the coding students, so probably I'm not going to join the lesson on Thursday, but Stan, probably Sergey will be there as well, helping him. So good luck with the coding basics. I will see you in the chat. I will see you on next Monday. I will cooperate with you in the requirements. So a lot of cooperation till Monday. And yeah, I'll see you in face-to-face on Monday. Bye-bye. Thank you, guys. Was nice to talk to you and see you here.
Nice to talk with you too. Thank you. Good night.
Good night, you too.
Thanks, sir. Good night.
Bye-bye. Okay,
Thank you, sir. Good night.
Good night. Let me stop recording. Oh, I cannot end call for everyone. Interesting. I will be just pulling you out the. Okay, remove. Bye-bye.